Okay, Seb,
Yes.
abortion. Why are you in favour of murdering babies? I'm joking. We'll start with you one.
I was
Okay.
ready.
No.
Because I hate babies.
Okay. So, all right, earlier today you told me if you could choose between religion and atheism, if it was 50-50, you prefer to believe rather than not believe.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, it seems like quite a obvious thing that someone would want the promise of an eternal good life, no? Like a
Yes.
heavenly prospect
Okay.
is a very, very hope-filled promise.
Yes.
So if that was credible, then I think absolutely I would lean towards the belief of that as a possibility.
Okay. What do you think of people who believe in that now? So the conditions with that thought with you when we were talking about that was if it was 50-50. Like if the evidence was like, okay, we could choose one, we could choose the other, it could go either way, you would go for that. How do you see it now?
How do I see those people?
Or how do you see maybe the odds of it being true? How do you see the people?
I would say I think it's incredibly unlikely to be true.
Okay.
Specifically a Christian heaven,
Yes.
as opposed to any of the other religions.
Okay.
Although I did see an Alex O'Connor argument saying that he thought that was a very weak argument to disprove the credibility of one religion by saying, look at all these, there's 1,000 different religions. What are the chances of your specific one being the truth if they're often contradictory, like theories of theology or existence, right?
Okay.
But that's like saying you take a number of scientists that have contradicting theories and then saying, oh, look at all these different scientists. Therefore, none of them are true because they all disagree.
Right.
But that just means that it's a confusing subject matter, right?
Okay.
So I'm playing devil's advocate to myself.
Yeah, of course.
So I think that's not necessarily an argument for the non-existence. I just think there's too many flaws, and there's not enough concrete evidence to give credibility to any given religion's likely reality or truth to the things that they preach and the scriptures and
Okay.
yeah.
I get that. So like any one of these scientists who might disagree, one of them might be true. Would you say it's the same for religion, or is it different?
No, I just think that's like a weakness in that specific argument.
Okay.
But like, let's say those scientists, whatever thing that they're disagreeing over, like the atom, for example, and how electrons are laid out in the shell, for example, and there's disagreements there.
Stages.
At least that's like there's stages. It's observable, it's retestable, but with like historical stories and historical events, it's not retestable. So when something's as like far-fetched as like miracles and like very like outlandish concepts that are quite difficult to fathom for us because we haven't seen anything like it, then it's more difficult to accept than like a scientist disagreeing with another scientist because they've observed something new, because our technology has increased so that new theories can be formulated around re-observable phenomenons, right?
Cool.
That's why I would say it's not.
So what if I compared it to like a history book? Aside from the miraculous events, like, you know, Jesus raising from the dead, things like that, what about the rest of the history that comes from the Bible but isn't necessarily, let's say, in a history textbook, for example? Like I've seen recently how they've discovered things from like, you know, archaeological digs and things like that confirm some Bible events. How do you see the history in the Bible in that way? Is it accurate? Is it,
I think,
purely fiction, or is it a mix of the two?
I think like all history, it's definitely blurred through the lens of time and retelling the same story, adding details, omitting details, and it's inevitably going to change, I think, a good amount away from the truth. So I think there is some historical accuracy to biblical characters. Like Jesus must have existed as a human being in the same way, like Winston Churchill, well, I could think or Augustus Caesar, maybe that's a bit closer to the time. So I think I've completely lost my train. Fucking cut this.
Let's continue.
What were we even talking about?
We're talking about like the history textbooks versus the Bible. Do you see them as the same sort of thing, or is it slightly different?
Right, yeah.
Like, let's say there's a history of something around that kind of time, or like, you know, around zero, like zero the year, or you know, 2000 BC, 1000 BC, like those events, like naturally in a history textbook, we might say, okay, there's less, you know, maybe strength in knowing what's going on at that time.
Here's why I think why it's different to compare non-religious history with religious history, and there's no moral implications or like
there's no stakes.
There's no like objective value determination. So like, let's say you could a non-religious historical figure, you could say this person did these things, he influenced these events, and he was like this based off these reports that we have. We know he behaved in this certain way, and so on and so forth, right? But then you're not gonna take from that a very concrete and objective moral stance on this person wanted exactly this thing, or people to behave in exactly this way. You wouldn't give it as much significance to the present other than a general overview of what occurred. Whereas like in religious context, we can say we know these people existed, like the disciples and Jesus, and they were preachers of philosophy or this like teaching of what they believe to be true, let's say, or who even knows really. Maybe they didn't, but it's probable, I would say, that they believed in God.
Right.
But then don't really know what point I'm trying to make here. I guess it's just because it has like moral significance. That's why it's hard for that to trace like the significance of those values. It's hard to like trace those accurately when they're so intricate.
Yeah.
Over thousands of years.
There's like a bias. Is that what you're saying, or?
I don't know what I'm saying.
Okay.
You tell me.
You told us about, you know, them espousing like a philosophy or a religion. Would you say, well, I'll ask you this way. What is the difference between philosophy and religion? Is there one? Like, what is the significance of someone following Christianity versus someone following like Stoicism? Because Stoicism is a philosophy, Christianity is a religion. What do you see there?
I think there's not the promise of far-fetched fantasies of like a greater, all-knowing, all-powerful figure, where it's like with other philosophies, I would say it's closer to there's not the guise or the lure. It's just I have observed these phenomena and these ways of behaving, and I believe if you align your mindset or your beliefs in this way, it can garner these benefits for you, as opposed to there is this benevolent, omnipotent being, and if you do these things, you're promised to eternal good life.
Right.
So it's more like under insincere deception, I would say, from my perception. If you behave in this way, you get this favourable future. If you don't, then you get the opposite. And to me, that's like a mass scale deception to people. Whether like that's evolved or orchestrated, I would say it's more likely to have evolved.
Right.
Who knows? I don't know.
Who is that deception in favour of? Like who is the mastermind behind it? Is who's like,
I couldn't tell you. I don't know if there is a mastermind or if it's like evolved as some form of like government. Like, let's take the Greek gods. Why do you think the Greek gods existed? Like, how did that come about? Do you believe in Greek gods like Zeus and Poseidon, and like what tangibility to the truth do you give those god figures?
me personally?
Yeah.
Well, I just think it's a false religion. Maybe the people at that time wanted to explain how lightning worked or thunder came about, how the sun was a thing.
Okay. So you think it evolved to explain phenomenon that people don't understand?
Yes.
And do you think that what about like their moral characteristics as gods? Because it wasn't just like purely explaining physical phenomena. It was more than that. It was like there's these great beings that we have to please and pray to and ask for favors and be good, right? So how do you think that was orchestrated?
Well, with the Greek gods, I don't know much about this really, but there doesn't seem to be much like moral grounding in terms of like, you know, the gods will tell you, here's how you be a good person, here's how you be a bad person. It seems like just they're just, you know, getting on with what they do, and humans are just a byproduct of that. They don't seem to care. I'm not sure.
Do you think maybe that's why it was naturally unselected? You know, like natural selection, you could say that's why religions have come about. Do you think maybe that's why Christianity, Judaism, like Judeo-Christian or like Islam, right? Because they have like moral principles. That's more appealing and more tangible to people, of like a form of guidance of how to live your life and purpose.
Yeah.
Therefore, that's why they're more likely to exist. That's why it survived.
Yes.
But like with the Greek gods, it was just the element of like there's this great, all-powerful being, and they can help me. So I want to please them. So it was like less of a complete.
Yeah.
Less of an appealing, less refined and developed.
Like survival
principle.
of the fittest religion.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, bringing that back to Christianity, because then you said, how do you think, who orchestrated it? How did it come about?
Yeah.
In a similar fashion.
Just through natural processes.
Yeah, through natural perhaps to explain phenomena that people didn't understand, specifically like. If we want to get into, you might have written something about objective, subjective morality, I'm sure. So I don't know if we want to save that. But like,
let's go.
Perhaps it's a concept that people couldn't understand. Why is this wrong? Why is this right? Why do we all feel that this is wrong? Why do we all? But we don't know why we all feel this is wrong. How do we explain that? So perhaps that's in the similar fashion to lightning. What's that?
Right.
Oh, it's a god. It's some powerful creature.
Okay.
Then in the similar like stance on objective morality, it could have evolved in that sense. I don't know. I'm just speculating totally here.
Yeah, for sure.
But also, this is not the best argument either. But before governments, you know, as a way to influence the mass population in a way that you felt like
control.
Leaders, control, but no, even in a good way, you know, to try to get people to act more generously and charitably, and also the whole make sure you're married, like these sorts of things that they knew were good for people, but they didn't know a way to get people to actually act and be held accountable to their actions.
Right. That's an interesting thought, because I was agnostic up until, for like 10 years, and I thought all these thoughts too, and I thought about religion as a way of propagating philosophy to the masses.
Sure.
Because philosophy, it's a thing that exists, but like you wouldn't see the average everyday person reading a philosophy book and wondering how to be philosophically good or ethically good or whatever.
Yeah.
But they might go to church on a Sunday, and the pastor might tell them, okay,
sure,
don't cheat on your wife, don't steal, don't lie.
Yeah.
And they're just generally reminded. And I thought, okay, that's just a way of, you know, giving people bits of advice that might stem from philosophy and things like that. How do you see that working in today's world? Like, for example, that monogamy thing, right? To stay to one partner and not sleep around. The way I saw it before was the fact that, like you said, in society, in civilizations, it's generally better if we don't, sleep around and just like, have kids in different places, and so there's no single parents, like kids with single parents, things like that. Do you still see that as equally applicable today, or is it like that was valid back then but not anymore? Like, is it still fine? Like, how do you still see like casual sex fitting into this? Is that moral? Is it not? What do we have to think about when we think about what is good, if there's no objective morality given by a god or something like that?
So I think it would shift the onus from an external locus of control to an all-knowing figure or being to tell you must do this.
Yeah.
Which is an easier way to live, you could argue.
Yeah.
If you're being concretely told, like a parental figure, you must behave in this way, and you can perceive that figure as more intelligent than you, has better judgment, right? So you're like, okay, it would be wise for me to listen, to an internal locus of control where it's like you have to explore the benefits and the faults of those behaviors yourself.
Yes.
Whether in real practice or just mentally as a thought exercise. Would it be good for me to sleep around and whatnot? Would that be harmful for me physically or emotionally? You can explore that yourself. You can like maybe learn a hard lesson through experience. So then obviously it has the potential to be more harmful when people have to like learn those lessons themselves.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think when you learn a lesson yourself, it's more powerful than just being told not to do a thing. Like, you can gain a sort of unique perspective on that given thing, as much as whatever that lesson might be could potentially harm you. If it's like the monogamy argument, if you're sleeping around or something like that, and then you're getting comfortable with remaining polyamorous or non-monogamous, then you're less likely to be at peace with the idea of remaining with the same person your whole life, because you'll be more accustomed to change and new stimuli and new personalities, and I suppose you'd get bored quicker. Whether that's wrong or right, I don't think there's necessarily like a universal answer for that. I think that really just depends from person to person.
So you think there's some people for which that's fine?
I think so, yeah. I think so.
Okay.
So, because some people might just be hardwired different, and
Right.
they've lived different experiences, so then they would find similar people who would adhere to the same sort of lifestyle.
Right.
I think, although I would agree that I think monogamy is potentially more sort of conducive to like a happier lifestyle, because you can just develop a stronger relationship with the same person, as opposed to like more short-term and less refined like relationships and interactions with people, right? So I can see that benefit. And then if you're more accustomed to switching around between people, but people might not necessarily be able to fathom that or come to that conclusion themselves, which is why it might be better for society just to be told like you must do this or you're going to hell.
Okay.
Right? So that's why it's hard to know whether religion isn't all good or all bad. I think it has definitely a lot of good elements to it, and I think it has a lot of bad elements to it.
Okay.
So
What are the bad elements?
I would say the potential for the abuse of power.
Okay, cool.
I would say, I mean, I said this to you like either today or yesterday.
Yeah.
The whole sort of like mass scale deception makes me moderately uncomfortable, because it's like you might live your life differently with the promise of a heaven or an afterlife. Whether that exists or not, let's say we pretend we both don't. I mean, we technically both don't know. We will only know when we die.
Yeah.
So you could live your life with ultimate sacrifice, and maybe living that way would actually give you a better life, but maybe it wouldn't. But let's say it didn't, and you were sacrificing your life just for the promise of this afterlife, and then it might not even exist anyway. That level of like certainty on the fact that this afterlife exists and so many people believe in it wholeheartedly, makes me uncomfortable, because it's like it feels like a deception of religion.
Okay.
Even though, I don't know.
But what if they are happier in the delusion?
Well, then again, there we go. I mean, I think then it's hard. It's so hard to know, isn't it? And people like, you're right.
Like, for
then
example,
that's a good thing.
For example,
potentially.
I was agnostic until like 2 months ago, literally. Like in May 2026, I became a Christian. I just kind of had a revelation. Before and after, like, I lived believing in things similar to how you believe in things, and then I just had something that happened to me, and then I believe in God. And what I felt was more assured, more certain, generally happier. It changed my philosophy a bit in a good way. It was nice. I don't see myself going back for any reason. And like, it's not less happy. I don't feel like, I feel like if my past self, my agnostic self, could look at me now and know that I'm the future me is Christian, and saw that I was happier, he'd be like, yeah, go for it. I think that's fine. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and then if it works for you, I think.
Do you think that's how?
I'm happy you found a happier state of being.
Yeah.
It's just.
How do you feel about me being Christian, or me becoming Christian recently? Because we've been friends for a long time.
It's hard. I don't know yet.
You don't know yet. You're waiting to see the fruits of that.
It's like you're saying that, like, if it makes me happy, does it matter whether it's true or not? It's kind of what you were saying, right? But
yes.
or not whether it's true or not. Oh, that's one way to word it, right?
Yeah. I see what you mean.
But it's like, if someone convinced you, let's pretend you're not a carnivore for a minute.
Right, okay.
And if someone convinced you, like, chocolate cake was, like, made of vegetables, and it was actually, like, the healthiest thing you could eat, it was a superfood.
Yeah.
And, like, and you believed it. They were so convincing.
Right.
Had all, like, elements, like, of science and, like, of studies of people eating this cake for years and being healthy. So now you believe this cake is actually how you, but I know that this cake, as far as I believe,
yes,
right, is not good for you. If you eat it, you're going to die sooner, because you're going to get, like, diabetes or something, right?
Right, yeah.
So that's how it feels to me. Like, would you still want to eat that cake? Like, no, but being convinced that cake's good for you.
I would say it's about the kind of the consequences of eating the cake. You know, I think you'd see from, like, let's say I eat the cake every day, I'd be gaining weight, I'd be having negative health outcomes, like maybe I'd get, like, heart palpitations, or like my blood sugar would, like, you know, end up with me being dizzy or something like that, or like some, you know, swollen ankles, like general symptoms of diabetes, things like that.
Sure. Yeah.
But in this way, me converting to Christianity, me eating that cake, has resulted in better health, as in, like, better emotion, better kind of feeling for me, better, you know.
That's true.
Philosophy. In the way that I feel, right?
What if you were a little boy?
Yeah.
And you got nonced on by a vicar?
Okay. Yeah.
That cake's not so good for you. And I'm not. I know that's rare.
Yeah.
But that's like the potential abuse of power.
Point. It's a valid point.
Right, in, like, these hierarchical,
like
religious systems.
Yes.
Which exist outside of religion as well.
Yes.
For sure. So that's why I'm not saying this is exclusive to religion.
Yeah.
I just think it has the potential to be more severe, because the promise of reward, i.e. heaven and the afterlife, is so much greater in religious contexts than other, like, hierarchical circles, like jiu-jitsu, for example. The only promise our head coach Dan can give us is you'll get better at jiu-jitsu. That's it. That's not anywhere near on the same caliber as,
it's not as grand as
an eternal, all beautiful afterlife in heaven.
Yes.
So there's that potential.
Well, like, for example, Dan, our coach, is giving that, or would give that promise of you get better at jiu-jitsu. Who's giving that promise in Christianity? It's God himself. So I think with someone who is of that caliber, he can give a promise of that same caliber, right? That's how I say. Or do you see it differently? Do you see it as like people giving that promise, or?
Yeah, well, to me, I think it's people who believe in God themselves.
Yes.
But like the people who are willing to like do like horrible things in those positions of power.
Yes.
You would say they're not Christians anyway, or not behaving in a Christian way.
Yes, of course.
Whether or not these people themselves believe in God, or if they're giving out the perception to others that they believe in God, and then, or who knows like where their headspace is really. But it's like the religious circle facilitates that potential. But like, I think that's kind of like any area of goodness is going to have like the bad corners to it.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's necessarily like a particularly significant argument for whether religion is like beneficial or unbeneficial to the world, or like individuals, right?
Yeah.
Because like in terms of like a local community circle, I think absolutely it's a good thing.
Yeah.
People being there for each other.
Yeah.
Like, you know, supporting people who have done wrong, and they're willing to open up about that and try and work through that. It's like a form of therapy, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
like in a small setting, I think it's absolutely like very, very like a positive thing for sure.
Awesome. Why do you think people stray away from it then? Like, do you think people don't see that good, or do you feel like people just haven't put the effort in, or is it like a skepticism thing? Is it like a, you know, science versus religion thing? Why do you think people haven't or don't gravitate towards it?
I don't think it's a science versus religion thing, because I just think they're completely different things.
Yeah.
Like, religion is not scientific, and science is not religious, you know? Like, one's like unprovable, I would argue, you know? You can't measure it or tangibly quantify it through empirical evidence. And one that is the whole fundamental core of it is what it is. So
yeah, what is religion though? Like, how would you define that? It's a very difficult question, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like like maybe not worship's the wrong art, but the belief in a greater figure that gives you guidance on a level of values and morals to implement into your own life.
Okay. Yeah, it's a hard question. There's usually like a story that goes along with it. So in Christianity, there's a book, the Bible. It tells a story of people who followed this God and what this God will promise for the future, right? Prophecies and things like that. And I would say there's philosophies involved, you know, how to be a good person, what to do, and yeah, it's hard to pin down what religion is. I would say science and religion, it's not necessarily... Okay, here's the thing though. People often like to think, or atheists like to think, that, you know, the more you look into science, the more or the less religion seems to be a valid answer for the explanation of the world. I would say it's a different kind of thing. It's different in the sense that, like, you and I both know Alex O'Connor, right? He puts this analogy towards Richard Dawkins, right? He says, okay, we have in front of us a book of, let's say, Hamlet by Shakespeare, right? And let's say that book existed just by itself. We didn't know who Shakespeare was, and it just existed. We can look at it, we can analyze it, we can think, okay, we've discovered certain laws about it. There's every sentence starts with a big letter and then some smaller letters. We'll call it the law of capitalization, right? And it seems like every last word goes with the last word of the next line. It rhymes. We call it the law of rhyming and things like that. And it seems the case that what certain atheists will do is assume that, look how close we're getting to, you know, describing this book. It will never arrive at explaining the origins of the book, right? We'll never, with science or with analyzing, which is what science is, come to the conclusion of knowing where it came from, as in like it came from William Shakespeare, right? So personally, I just believe it's a category error to kind of use science to disprove the existence of a god or something like that. One I really like is the J.K. Rowling one I told you about a while ago. It's like the characters within the Harry Potter books trying to discover the existence of J.K. Rowling, right? And they won't find J.K. Rowling at Hogwarts because J.K. Rowling is the one who created the existence in which they exist in, right? I see it like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be foolish of Harry Potter and Hermione to believe in J.K. Rowling because there is nothing for them to point. It's just like someone just said it.
Yes.
And then they're expected to believe that they're characters in a book and their consciousness isn't real.
But if they were to search for the origin of that universe, we know, from the outside of the book, we know that J.K. Rowling is the origin of that universe. But they can never find that out.
Exactly. So how can there be such specific scriptures and specific knowledge and guidance when you're saying we don't really know?
We don't know.
We're supposed to trust these books written 2,000 years ago.
We don't know through analytical science of looking at the universe. That would be like looking at the book, right? It would be through, the Bible is the book, right? That tells us what's going on, and it involves the author, right? In the J.K. Rowling Harry Potter books, J.K. Rowling isn't in the book, but in the Bible, God is in the book. So that's one difference. And it's the fact that also it is a bit of a leap of faith, right? And in that sense, it's just something that we can't 100% prove in this time, in this reality, but it's something that we kind of take to be true or choose to believe in, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I think what you said there is true. You are choosing to believe in it.
Yeah.
Without any real tangible substance.
Yes.
It's more like you like this thing.
Well, there's some
so
substance.
I want to believe in this thing.
Yes. It's some substance, but there's not 100%.
My phone just rang, and I'm afraid it's my mom telling me your van's blocking me in.
Okay.
So I was trying to focus on what you were saying.
All right.
But I was just picturing my mom raging at me.
That's fine.
Sorry. Right, so remind me, summarise what you were just saying so I can try and respond.
So we were saying how, religion is a bit of a leap of faith, God is a bit of a leap of faith, things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll start from here. I would say that there are other things in life that are a leap of faith aside from religion, right? So for example, if I were to ask you the question, and this is a difficult question, it's not really possible to answer, and that's kind of the whole point. What is consciousness? How would you define that?
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist?
No.
Right.
I don't believe in consciousness.
Right. But you get the idea it's hard to answer that kind of question.
Yeah,
right.
so I wouldn't suppose an answer. I wouldn't give it an answer.
What is energy?
I can explain what consciousness is.
Go ahead.
I think it's a word people assign to a complicated assimilation of stimuli that is so unfathomably
yes.
got eventually complex.
Yes.
Where we are formulating thoughts based off past experiences and decisions based on.
Where do those thoughts come from?
Well, so it starts as a young child where you're just mimicking your parents, and they're not thoughts at all, right? Because you haven't really developed a complex web of experiences.
Okay.
But then as you get older, you have a large data bank of experiences of certain ways to behave and how then that affects you.
So consciousness is inherited in a way?
Yeah, sure. So I suppose some of it, in terms of hormonal constant balances and neurotransmitters and things like this. Okay. So some of it would be genetic. A large portion of it would be environmental, and then I believe that just develops over time.
Okay.
To the point where we have these thoughts, or we can look back at our past experience and memories. We can look forward to project how we're behaving. Refer that to previous experiences and what that might entail. We can make predictions, right? And I think that is consciousness. It's literally just a complex web of decision making, reflection, foresight,
Right.
and I don't really think it's more than that.
Where does it come from, though?
Well, from a
what's the origin?
materialistic point of view, it's chemicals and electric impulses in our brain.
Right.
That's all I think it is. I don't think it's like a external from body, like.
So could we build consciousness then? Like through raw materials?
I think AI could become what we would. I think AI will eventually think it could be conscious, because it's just like a combination of stimuli, right? And when, like for example, AI, that's what we're doing with AI. We're building a brain, and then eventually we're going to build it a body too, and it will be able to assimilate stimuli. It can already do that. It can already listen. Right, to an extent, although that's predominantly just listening to specific frequencies of words, as opposed to other noises it wouldn't be programmed to understand.
Yes.
But then once it becomes developed enough to learn itself based on what it has, I think it can grow its own consciousness, like AI.
So do you think AI will eventually come to know feelings like love and happiness and sadness?
I don't know what specific.
Do you think that's possible?
I think it's possible, and new ones as well that we wouldn't understand because we haven't like evolved down the same pathway of emotions. So who knows? It might evolve a whole new network of its own emotions, if we were to call it that. But I think what we call consciousness is just, I'm repeating myself, but it's just a complicated network of stimuli and navigating those stimuli, and I think that's essentially what we're doing with AI.
Right.
But it's like in such an early stage of it that it's like quite far-fetched to believe that could evolve into some form of consciousness. But I think that's essentially what it is.
Okay.
But I think like that's kind of like nihilistic or depressing to think that's all it is. Like it's not so. We're not so. Like it sort of diminishes our significance as like an animal or as like as a person.
Yeah.
That we are just like animals, essentially trying to survive, trying to thrive, because that's within our nature as a living creature to do those things. But I believe, based on what I think, that's what consciousness is.
Okay, but would you say AI is conscious now?
This is what I said. But when you first asked me what's consciousness, I said it's nothing. It doesn't exist, right? It's just a word people assign to a thing.
But words have meanings, right?
Okay, so I would say no, AI doesn't have consciousness to the same level that human beings have consciousness.
So what's the difference?
Let me ask you a question. Does a dog have consciousness?
I would say yes.
Does an ant have consciousness?
Yes.
What about a bacteria?
I'm not sure, actually. I don't know.
What about some like E. coli, a strain of E. coli?
Well, here's the thing. I wouldn't know how to define consciousness in that way. Like it's alive. Does that mean it's conscious? The point I was making when I asked what's consciousness is that it's hard to define.
Yes. Right. Yeah. Let's get back to what the point. Because this is a big tangent, isn't it? What's consciousness or like?
I'm all on board for the tangents. I love it. But
yeah. Okay. Sure. Okay.
Let's try another one. Like what's energy? How do you define energy?
Okay, that energy is like which specific version of energy are you referring to? Because that has
energy in general.
No, but it's not a general word though. Because words are contextual. If you mean like a physicist point of energy, or do you mean my state of vitality? Like I've ran out of energy, or do you mean like a biological like definition of energy? Like words are contextual.
Just physical energy.
That's so broad though.
Yeah, I know, but like, can you define it?
No, through context I could. If you would give me like I just did. So I said biologically it means this, right? If you want me to say the biological definition.
I think biological, physical, human-wise, I think they're all the same kinds of things, right? We can say I have energy, which means I've eaten some food and I have energy in that way. Biological, similarly, like the sun is. These plants absorb energy from the sun through light, and they use it in different ways. Physically, we can talk about, pushing a block of a certain weight, a certain distance. We can use,
so they're all
formulas.
different.
Well, they're the same.
Though. Well, they're similar. That's why they probably assign that word to the same things, just to make like our mental category of things.
But what is it?
Memorizing all, like, let's say we didn't use the word energy to define all of those different concepts. We'd have to learn 5 different words,
Yeah, of course,
all
of
for
course.
energy. It would be so much more complicated than
Okay.
just using one
Well, just
word
define one of them
that's
then.
like similar.
Define
So
one of
that generally encompasses these things, but then through context you can separate them.
I get that. Define. Well, just pick one and just define it.
I just did biological definitions, ATP, like energy. You could define it. Okay, or I'll do more simply then. My state of vitality. If I'm going on a run, I could use the word energy to define how much sort of thrust I have to give into that run.
But what's thrust?
My ability to dedicate myself to this physical activity and the spectrum upon which I can do that.
Okay. Okay.
Right? But then if I would compare that to this is why it's hard to have a conversation, because I'm an idiot.
No. It's just hard to define what energy
Well, no,
is.
because
You can't pin it
I'm
down.
not like an expert on the different facets of the word energy. But there are
Well, included in the definition of energy is the fact that it is all these things, and we can understand that because there's links, right? Light energy can be converted into chemical energy in the plants, right? And the plant's chemical energy can be converted into movement energy when we eat the plant, and we can move about,
Yeah.
and we can think and things like that.
Yeah.
It's converted, but it's still energy.
What,
Right,
but then they're different things. That's just a word. That's just a sound you've assigned
Yeah, of
to
course.
these things. It's not. They're not
But,
the
how do we
same.
define that though? Like, how can we understand fully what it is? Like, we don't. Really
Well, then an
know.
expert in one facet of energy could define it.
Yes.
It's just a
but not-
thing we've observed, and we call it this thing to make discussing ideas and informing decisions
Okay.
more optimally.
You say the expert would know, but I would say a neuroscientist would struggle to define consciousness. A physicist would struggle to define energy, right? Yet we believe in those things, right? We can't.
I don't
fully...
believe. Well, Pete,
Wait, okay.
finish your point. Sorry, I
So-
won't interrupt you.
We choose to believe in these things despite not having full clarity, full understanding, not being able to pin these things down because they are maybe perhaps somewhat beyond us in terms of our mental capabilities, or maybe they just cannot be pinned down or defined in that way. And so I think we have faith in these things without being able to tangibly see them. Like the example I give to kids is like, well, you know that wind exists, but you can't see it, right? But you still believe in it. You can't see the little molecules of air whizzing around and like hitting your face, for example, but
You
still
can feel it
you can feel it, right? But you don't know that
physically.
It is, yeah, physically.
I don't mean like emotionally. Like you can
Yes.
feel God emotion. Like you can physically feel wind.
Yes.
Like you can quantify it objectively. The sensation of wind.
yes.
You can hear the trees rustling.
Yes, but to
Wind.
know that they are made of little tiny particles of air molecules and oxygen, nitrogen, things like this, we don't necessarily know that. We just kind of take it to be true. Like we don't no one's an expert on all areas of science. We just kind of take it to be true. You know, we assume. Okay,
But
that's
you
true,
can
that's true.
you can do a variety of experiments to prove these things, these molecules to exist. You
Okay.
can boil some water.
Okay.
You can observe that phenomenon under a microscope and see these molecules drifting further apart, and
Okay.
then their physical
Of course.
state changes. So
maybe,
it's like,
maybe the wind one is an oversimplified example. I think
Okay.
energy and consciousness.
but
is
consciousness, you're saying, we believe in and take a leap of faith in the existence of these things in the same way that I believe in the existence of a Christian God.
one. Yeah.
But it's not the same, because consciousness is something that people equally say there's no real one definition for consciousness,
Yeah.
and no one's really
It might be. That we
no
can't
one's
define
using the notion of consciousness to direct people's behaviors and ways of living, so it's insignificant. So that's why it's kind of irrelevant whether we believe or disbelieve in consciousness, because it's not really having much of an impact on our lives as a concept. whereas religion is.
I
So
would
it's like
say
you're devoting yourself to religion. You wouldn't devote yourself to consciousness.
I would dispute that. I would say the fact that something is conscious, we treat it differently to whether it's, if it's unconscious or if it's like dead, it doesn't have consciousness.
But that's not
example.
because of the consciousness why we treat it differently. That's because of like, in what sense? What, for example, what, like you're saying, like a blade of grass, or you would treat differently to a rabbit. Is that what you? I don't
That
understand.
could be an example, but I would say like the fact that something is conscious and it has life, we respect that. We give it certain value. It gives something value. Like a human being, you're
Yeah.
alive, you're conscious. We give you certain value. Like for example, we give you a fair trial when you're prosecuted for a crime or something like that. You are a human being of value. We give you that
Sure.
trial, things like this.
But I don't think that's because I don't think I would treat a conscious thing more generously because of the fact that I believe in consciousness. I believe it's far simpler than that. It's just like a selfish, empathetic urge in myself that has evolved through natural selection.
Okay.
Whereas if you treat things within your community, human beings are a social animal, you
Yes.
thrive more yourself. So that behavior is instilled within me through natural selection of more conformative members of the community will survive, will thrive, will reproduce. Therefore, we have that behavior within ourselves. And you see, when you look at a rabbit, and that reflects a degree of yourself. So you're likely to feel a degree of empathy towards that more so than a blade of grass, because it's more different to who you are. I honestly just believe like empathy to animals is just the level upon which we can see parts of ourselves within those creatures.
Yeah.
And then that's just like a deep bound trait within us to be empathetic and compassionate, because it's a trait that has been passed down for us
Okay.
to behave that way. But I don't think that's because like of the word or object of the definition
Awareness.
of consciousness or awareness of consciousness,
Okay.
right?
Well, I think
So
it
it
is,
doesn't give
because-
credence to I'm taking a leap of faith into this phenomena existing, therefore I can take a leap of faith into this complex web of stories and scriptures and beliefs and values. It's just quite,
Yeah.
it's dissimilar.
I'm aware of the different things, but I'm saying that we do, like atheists often like to purport that they don't have, like faith is a silly thing. I'm saying that we have faith in things like this. Like for example, with your example, with how it might have come about that we kind of, how did you say it? You said it kind of naturally selected it for it to be the case that we treat things that are alive different to how we treat things that might be dead or inanimate, right? So I would say still there's an awareness of consciousness, right? We are aware of things that are alive in a sense. We are aware of human beings that are alive, and we have a special kind of category for that. And then animals that are alive, like rabbits and cows and things like that. And then, for some reason, insects are lower than that, and bacteria, etc. But we have an awareness of this thing, right? We've come up with this thing, and so we just put the word consciousness to it, and it's hard to define, but yet we know what it is, and we kind of behave as if it is real in society.
That's just one phenomenon though. So it's
Yeah.
it's like saying
But it's an
I take a
example
leap of faith into the credibility of this description of this thing. Like, you can observe the fact that an animal exists and the fact that it makes decisions, and then we can try to relate our own mind to the fact that we know they have a physical brain like we have a physical brain, so perhaps they have some degree of consciousness like we have a consciousness, right? So that's far more tangible of a assumption of credibility, which is essentially what faith is, right? You're how credible do you think this concept is? Okay, well, sure, I can believe in that. It's probable that a rabbit has some degree of what we refer to as consciousness. But then just because I'm making that presumption with one thing, I don't understand how you can then draw that same assumption to the belief in a big, powerful being and all these values. And because it's like you're taking a leap of faith into so many things, it's far more like
It's far
unbased.
bigger leap of faith.
Yeah, a bit. Well, exactly. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I would agree.
You're jumping further, whereas so you can't really see where you're gonna land. It's like more misinformed, you know. If you're trying to like jump to a destination that you think is like credible or real or tangible or benefit, or, you know, some form of benefit to you. This is getting very metaphorical now. If you jump further, it's less accurate to like what the thing is that you're hoping it is.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I see.
Whereas if it's a simple concept and you think, oh, there's people over there. If it's a simpler concept, right? But even if it's a more complicated concept, but the path is laid out, like there's tangible, observable things you can see to come to this conclusion.
That is exactly how I see religion. There's just little bite-sized bits of leaps of faith, or bite-sized leaps of faith, you could say, like you're saying, that lead you to this place where you believe in the whole totality of it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
do you believe in dreams?
Do I believe in dreams?
Yeah.
What do you mean believe?
Like when you dream something, you know, I don't know, you can cut this. You know, one time you told me like you had this crazy dream where your brothers killed this guy.
Yes.
And like, and you were like sad or like, no, stop it, don't leave him alone or something like this.
Yeah.
But you're aware that was a dream, right?
Yes.
Like it wasn't real.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and then to me, it seems like your small leaps of faith, like the empirical evidence, let's call it, or like the reasoning that's led you to have a strong sense of faith is like things similar to dreams where it's just something you've felt or experienced. But we know our minds can just like fathom anything.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's not credible. It's not tangible in a sense of. No, I'm saying in terms of what, like you're saying, you've had these leaps of faith, but not one thing from how it's been relayed to me, or I've never heard anything that has led me to believe that's anything more than the similarity, equivocal of a dream, in terms of like you've just felt things, or you've like read this thing and it's made you feel a certain way. Yeah, it's like a powerful message,
right? And
therefore it gives the validity, credibility, but it doesn't, in my opinion. It's just a nice, good thing, but that's not like, it's not reliable, a reliable platform for the leap of faith.
Okay. I would say, as a counter to that, like let's just take for example the historicity of the Bible, like the historical accuracy of the Bible, right? I would say that's been proven in various ways, and that's like one bit.
May you relay that proof to me?
Well, I can't show you like this, like studies and things like that.
Which
there's things I've sent to you.
I've watched some of those things.
Okay.
Which ones are you referring to that you think is
like
credible?
The story of Jesus, for example. Not necessarily the resurrection. Of course, we don't have like a video, CCTV footage of the tomb of Joseph and him, like, you know, whatever he did when he resurrected.
Yeah.
But there's like historical accuracy of the events that happened during his life, and the eyewitness accounts of him coming back after he like certainly died.
Yeah.
And so.
What about witches? Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
No, go ahead. Witches?
Like, historically, witches existed.
Yes.
Do you believe in witches with potions and powers?
I do.
And that's where our judgment just differs, brother.
Yes.
That's where our judgment just differs.
I understand. Like, I would predict you would feel that is a bit of a silly thing to believe in.
Yeah.
Right. So...
Based on, like, maybe it's narrow-minded of me, basing using what I can see and observe in today's day and age,
Yes.
and especially what I'm exposed to
Yes.
inform what I believe could be possible.
Yes.
But that's just how I am. Unless I see or I hear a story that's convincing, or like see something tangible.
That's just it. That's just it. So I'll tell you the story of how I came to believe in witchcraft of all things. And I know it's really silly. Like me 3 months ago, I would have been like, "What are you talking about? Witchcraft? Seriously?"
Yeah, you've lost the plot, man.
Yeah.
The last 2 months, bro.
I wonder so much what you think of this, because this is a radical change in my life. I'm like, what does my mate think of this? Because we hang out
I
a
just
lot.
accept it, dude. I mean, what can I think about it?
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Just like,
So,
as long as you don't change, like, as long as you don't become a twat, then I don't care.
yeah,
You can think what you want to think. Like,
yeah, fair.
Who knows?
Have you noticed any like significant change in me, or
Not really.
not really?
No.
Was I like, what would you expect in someone who converted? What kind of change would you expect?
Good point. I don't know. I've never really thought about that.
Yeah.
I think there's a possibility that you will lose the ability to come to your own moral conclusions in terms of
naturally.
because that's done for you.
Yes.
You'll lose the ability to critically think on a moral playing field.
Okay. Yes.
So let's say there's things that deviate from the Bible's field of knowledge. Like all you would be able to do was relate this specific thing to stories in the Bible,
Right.
and try and navigate it from that point of view. But you would perhaps
make inferences.
make inferences.
Yes.
I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I just think because you're now, it's like the difference between someone who makes their own decisions and is told
Yes.
to behave in this way. I feel like if you make the decisions yourself and make the mistakes yourself, you have a more rounded perspective on a given thing. And that given thing is morality and values.
I completely understand that, 100%. I think that experience is a very good teacher. However, I think there are some things where you would rather not. Like, let's say you had a kid, right? You'd rather them hear a story or them hear you just say, just avoid that. It's better that you don't do that.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
for example, like drugs and things like that, or like some kind of like sexually dangerous situation, for example.
Yeah.
You would just rather they stay safe rather than them being, maybe they're curious about it and they go explore. And like, let's say you have a young daughter and she goes out alone at night. And like,
but we know that anyway through experience. Like the Bible doesn't have to teach us that. Enough people have experienced these things and how people behave.
I'm drawing the analogy that a parent to a kid is like God to us. God is saying, okay, just don't do that because I care about you.
I totally agree.
I don't want the bad stuff to happen.
You don't want to make the mistakes that someone's already made and learned from, and they can just tell you, so you don't have to be damaged by those mistakes.
Exactly.
I hear that.
And the way that God tells us is through these stories as well, right?
Let's say aliens come to Earth.
Okay.
Would you fuck an alien? And I by the way, there is a point I'm trying to make here.
Well, I don't believe in aliens.
I don't believe in aliens, but let's say hypothetically they come down and they do exist.
Wait, hold on. You don't believe in aliens?
No. Well, no, sorry. I believe in their possibility.
Right.
But it's just, again, what's the point? I don't know. So I don't know, actually. That's my answer.
Okay, you're agnostic about aliens.
I'm agnostic about aliens.
Right. Okay, cool.
Well,
I think they don't exist. That's another change.
Let me make the point though, and then we can come back to like what the credit, like if the credibility of aliens, our faith in aliens, right? Perhaps let's say, but
would I have sexual intercourse with an alien?
Yeah.
No.
Why?
I think that would be similar to bestiality. Because it's a
and
different
is that
species.
sin?
It is.
Okay, so that's the point though, right? The Bible doesn't. Okay, you could relate an alien to an animal.
Yeah.
What if it looks exactly the same as? What if aliens come down and they're identical to humans, but the only difference is they say, "But I'm an alien. I wasn't born here. born on another planet. We've technologically advanced a lot. We've come here. So
Well,
it's
like
very
me-
similar to a
Me
human
as
being.
a Christian,
Yeah.
what would I say? I would say no, because it's like, I don't know what you are or who you are. You might be some kind of like, you know, and this might sound strange, but like you might be some kind of like demon or something. Like you came from above. Like what do you mean? Like
Right,
are you
so
like a
it's just a
fallen
dick,
angel?
right. Exactly. So my point is, and that has the potential to be like Christians or religious people might react negatively. Then you think as a demon,
Yes.
so you might shun this alien.
Yes.
But if it's very similar to us, like biologically identical, thinks in a pretty similar fashion, they're
Yeah.
just technologically advanced, right?
But it's just extraterrestrial.
But it's extraterrestrial. But
Right.
the point I'm trying to make is, because the Bible hasn't experienced aliens,
Oh, it doesn't have a law around.
there's no law around
Oh,
aliens.
okay, right.
So I'm saying Christianity and religious scriptures are relevant to the morals are based on experiences and values are based on experiences and stimuli that are presented to us. But let's say how the world may evolve, right? I just thought of aliens, but there's loads of other ways it can evolve where certain values and morals won't be relevant anymore and new ones will be required, and that
Okay.
won't exist within the scope of Christianity unless a new Jesus comes and tells us what you're supposed to do with these new set of stimuli.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So my point is, you're limited within your scope of like for example, as an atheist, yeah, I could make someone's gonna have to make that mistake. Someone's gonna have to fuck that alien, figure out what's gonna happen. Are you gonna have like a deformed baby, or so that's a mistake. So someone's gonna have to make that mistake and learn from it,
Right.
right? And that's how we create our morals and our values and what's acceptable and what's not. Trial and error.
That's a good question. So is that how atheists come up with morality? Trial and error.
I would say so, yeah.
Okay.
But that's
So-
what evolution is, isn't it? Evolution is really just trial and error. People try things,
Yes.
and then whoever some people make mistakes, and whoever can learn from those lessons survive, and the ones who can't don't.
So what is there like a collection of these morals somewhere, or is it like just in the air or in the society?
That's a
in the
so
zeitgeist?
here's the problem with the atheistic subjective morality, I would say, is the fact that now you've got all these things of like virtue signaling, let's say, where because there is no concrete objective moral way to behave, there's all sort of like societal confusion on morality, whereas certain people think this is how we should behave, certain people think this is how we should behave, how we should treat each other, like I think this, and then that's the cause of friction and divide, because there is no unanimous, universal understanding. So that is definitely a weakness of like the atheistic morality. So that's a positive side to religion, that it's universal, unanimous, so there's no form of dispute or conflict, where even if like some of those things that are preached are potentially harmful, there's not, people aren't going to disagree over them and then form a conflict and then have problems within that conflict. So so in atheistic, you're right, there is no unanimous understanding of the morals, which is a problem, because then people fight over them. Like, let's think of an example like trans people, right? Because like a lot of people are transphobic, and a lot of people think like, no, you're confused, that there's two genders, like don't mislead science or something, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's chromosomes, there's this biological evidence, and then I was like, oh no, you don't understand it. It's a feeling, it's an identity, it's, you know, gender is a spectrum, it's not a biological phenomena, right? So then there's that disagreement, and that's like something that humanity will have to navigate through. That's the process of trial and error to find where the values and like, if at some point like universal agreement, which will never be achieved, but hopefully it tends closer towards that point. So, you know, that's the point of all like positive disagreement or positive, you know, discussion. You're trying to tend towards a point of mutual agreement.
Yes.
You know, if it's done in the right way.
Yes.
And you would hope that humanity can eventually achieve that.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it lies, yeah.
But ultimately, it's a bit of a struggle, right?
Yeah.
I would say that religion has the easier option in terms of just like, this is how it is,
Yeah.
it's how you behave. And with the things that, you know, we might not necessarily have laws for directly, we can just make inferences.
But you say that, I would say easy doesn't necessarily mean it's good, because you've got just saying I don't agree with two men or two women getting married.
Yes.
Oh, it's easy, so therefore I accept it. But that's actually, I would, as an atheist, I would say I think humanity has evolved to the point where we think that's wrong to
think that way.
To sort of oppress these people's desire to have a relationship, same-sex relationship.
Yes.
So it's easier because there's no room for disagreement, because you have to accept this, and you can justify it how you want.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I would say that's an area of Christianity and pretty much all religions that is like not updated throughout history, because it was shunned back then in society. Society now accepts it, but because religion can't change, because then it's a conflict of the validity of the integrity of the scripture.
Yes.
It can't change. And I think perhaps as humanity evolves thousands of years from now, aliens come down. Oh, fucking, that's not in the Bible.
Right.
So I don't know what. Yeah. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I think it's important to question these things, because they might seem like they don't apply in today's day and age, and to wonder, okay, what is it specifically that I have as a backup for what I believe in? Like, for example, if someone believed that being gay was wrong, like, why do I think that's wrong? They need to go and research what it says in the Bible and why that applies to today and things like that. I'm not saying it's like as simple as like, okay, Bible says it, therefore I believe it. There's going to be a bit of a process of like wrestling with the text a bit and saying, okay, why does it say that? I don't feel like that's correct. Maybe there's something else being said here. Maybe I might want to listen to someone else who's like a, you know, maybe my pastor at church or like an expert on the Bible, something like that. We'll come to that conclusion in that kind of way. But that's how that might work.
So you're willing to accept with the bits that preach homophobic, potentially, or let's say like potentially homophobic mindsets and practices. You're willing to accept that's a bit murky of our understanding. But then, like, other areas that aren't so morally contentious,
yes,
that's absolute.
I mean, I don't think anyone disagrees with the fact that murder is wrong, right? Or less people disagree with that, right?
It's easier to understand.
Yeah, it's easier to understand. It's kind of like justifiable. But yet we can wonder, like, where does that come from? Like, where does that universal like knowledge? Okay, murder's wrong. Like,
if everyone kills everyone, we're all dead. It's simple.
Yeah.
So people learn, don't kill everyone, and we can all live.
So does it have to be taught, or is it just inherent knowledge?
Well, it's one of those where I think most sort of core understandings are things that have just been passed down through us. Yes. Through natural selection.
So like we have impulses. This natural visceral feeling of like when we end the life of a conscious being, back to that consciousness thing, we end that life, we have some kind of natural sadness. Like even if we're killing a rabbit so that we can eat the meat, we have a certain sadness for that. Like we might, mourn its death or something like that in some kind of way. Like we maybe not have a ritual around it, but we're like, okay, it's sad that, Sally the cow had to die so that we can eat. Right? We have some kind of sadness around that. What point was I making? I can't remember. What did you say before?
You're asking the wrong guy to do remembering.
So we were talking about where these morals come from, right?
Yeah.
And we're talking about, okay, more obvious things like murder, less obvious things like being gay and why that might be wrong in the eyes of a Christian person.
Yeah.
Right? It's just more of a task for that Christian to wrestle with. Like, when I was agnostic, I didn't really have a dog in the fight of, gay people in their lives. But then when I became a Christian, I had to think about that. I had to be like, oh, do I now have to like be against that? Why do I have to be against that? And I had to like look at the Bible and look at what people said and arrive at my conclusions, and I had to wrestle with that, right? That's I think is the distinction that a lot of atheists don't see. It's that it's not a blind, just kind of like, my master has given me instructions, I just obey blindly and not thinking. God has given us free will so that we can choose, right? So we can choose to obey and choose not to obey, and doubt is a thing. Like, like, God, why do I have to think this way? And we could wonder that, and the answers might be in the Bible, and we need to research that and think about that ourselves and kind of come to our conclusions. But the origin is God's word, the Bible, right? The origin is God, because the thought is he created us, and surely the person who created us has the ultimate manual on how we should behave and live, right? That's the thought behind it.
Yeah. So I think because you doubt it and you have the ability to sort of challenge why that's in there and like what specifically the message is behind those particular verses,
Yeah.
doesn't mean all Christians have that same level of doubt. So it inevitably is going to spread negative and oppressive like ideology in the world.
Well, I would say
that is going to negatively affect like gay people.
I would say it's the same regardless of if it's within religion or without religion. Like, for example, we look at Nazi Germany, there was a lot of blind compliance there, right? Germany kind of just went along with what Hitler was saying, and they just kind of blindly complied and said, okay, yeah, let's do this evil thing, what Hitler wanted, and that wasn't religion. I think there exists this proclivity to kind of follow a charismatic leader in humanity in general and do bad things in general. We like to kill each other in general, and that's just a corruption of the human existence. And that, yes, it happens in religion, it happens outside of religion. I think it's just a...
Well, exactly. So, but that's my point. If religion is...
I don't think religion causes it, is what I'm saying.
No, but it facilitates it, which is equally as bad. Like, if
Well,
you're saying people are willing to do a bad thing,
but that's like
and
saying,
they just need someone to guide them.
That's like
if
saying...
religion's got, taking a role in the guidance...
Right, but
then,
that's like saying, if someone uses a knife to kill someone, that knives are bad. Someone can use a knife to cook.
It's not the same, though, because...
You agree that there's some good to religion, and there's some bad to religion, in that way. Someone can use religion in a bad way.
Thing is, though, the knife doesn't have influence on the person's beliefs, right?
It's an analogy.
But it's a bad one, because Christianity has influence on the person's beliefs, and beliefs guide our intentions and our actions. So the intentions and actions come from things that stimulate thought processes, and that is what religion does, right? It stimulates values and thought processes and behaviors. A knife doesn't stimulate those things, it's just an object.
No, the comparison is religion and anything else, right? So I would say religion does that, sure, but so can another organization that isn't religious, like fascist Germany.
but those things don't you don't believe fascist Germany is beneficial, but you believe religion is beneficial and good. So that's why I'm challenging you on religion, because...
Okay, so if I did something bad because of my religion... Yeah, I would be using religion as the excuse to do the bad thing. That doesn't make the religion bad.
Well, it does, because you just said before you became religious, you didn't really have much of an opinion on the behaviours of gay people. But now you've become religion, you have to sort of explain in your own mind to yourself why two men shouldn't become married. So now you're having to justify to yourself why that's not acceptable, and that's a respectful mindset. You're not gonna go and beat up gay people, but then people who are less diplomatically behaving would do that as Christians, and also you're
but that wouldn't
more
be
likely
a very
to
Christian
justify
thing to do, though.
No, but also let's say a gay person's like disowned by their family, who like a religious family or something,
Right.
and that like causes them trauma or like some negative psychological impact on them,
Right.
right? Well, as pure as your intentions might be, you like your actions will still have negatively affected humanity.
So what, the family that shuns a gay child?
Yeah, because he's sinning, and they can't convince him to not behave that way because he is gay. He's gay as fuck.
Okay. But that, I don't think that would be a Christian thing to do, though, to shun someone because of
What
their
if someone
sins.
But what like you're just misleading what I mean by shunning. You're gonna tell him you shouldn't do that. Like if someone murders, you're gonna tell him you shouldn't do that. That's wrong. Like, you're gonna say
Right.
that's bad.
Okay, yeah.
That's like, okay, you're going to scold the person. You're gonna
Say,
say
no, naughty, naughty.
wag your finger, right?
Yeah.
That behaviour
Yes.
can like saying like someone what from what I think is just behaving in a like natural and healthy way. Right?
Okay. Well,
and then making them
would-
believe that's a bad thing. That can be damaging.
Well, I would just simply disagree with that. That it's a natural and healthy thing to do.
Yeah.
Right. So I think we can just agree to disagree on that point.
So okay, so
Unless you want to get into like the biblical reasons of why being gay
Right,
is
but
bad. Do you want to get into that?
you're just gonna say like reproduction and whatever, right? Why do you?
I mean, I want to focus on these topics here because I don't want to get into like details and like in the weeds
Well,
of like.
I think that's where like you can come to some answers. Because I just think that that's like a main thing why you can say like Christianity's values are dated. And I think as
Yes.
time progresses and like morality changes, which is inevitable because new stimuli will present,
Okay.
the
Well, so
values
was
will
it-
not
was it-
catch up.
Was it okay back then to say that being gay was bad?
From my perspective, no. If I was born then, yes. Because it's like, that's just the belief of the people of the time.
Right.
So like I guess there was maybe more like suppressed gays. There was like people with gay urges, but they suppressed it.
Yeah.
And then as it became more accepted, there became a point where, there was people having, being punished or whatever. And then humanity learned that there's actually nothing wrong. Nothing really bad happens by letting people do this or behave this way. So let's accept it. So it's like a process of understanding. Let's call it. So I think
Okay.
wrong or right. Was it wrong then? It just depends on your perspective, I suppose.
Okay.
Who are you asking? If you're asking me, I'd say no.
Okay. Bit of a tangent question here, but an interesting one, I think. Do you think being gay is nature or nurture? Bit of both?
Bit of both.
Bit of both.
Yeah.
So you think someone can be born gay?
Yeah.
Okay. So are they born gay and then they develop that gayness through what their surroundings are?
Probably, yeah.
Bit of both.
Bit of both.
Do you think there's anyone who's just like born fully gay and just
Yeah.
can't be influenced by anything else?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the
Selected gay, bro.
what's the kind of, so if it was the fact that it's natural selection, why would that come about? Do you think there's a gay gene?
I don't know, man.
You don't know?
I don't fucking know.
Well, there isn't a gay gene, right?
You have it.
I
If anyone, you got it, bro.
turning into that kind of conversation.
Yeah, those chinos have the gay gene, bro.
Yeah, okay. Literally the gay genes.
Yeah,
There you
the
go.
gay cheens. Fuck. This has been such a serious podcast. I
It has,
don't make
I know.
any jokes on.
I know. The last one was funnier. The last few, I don't know how many.
Yeah, because it wasn't so like.
serious.
It wasn't so
That's
serious.
what I was afraid of. I was like, okay, if I make it a list of questions,
I don't know
and we go into
what
it-
like
I
what
haven't asked any of these
style
questions, by
of
the way.
podcast you want to do.
Well, I think this is good so far. I think some laughs and some jokes are fine, which is what you're introducing through just being a bit of a,
Bit of a what?
just being you, man.
God, that.
I'll bleep it.
Yeah.
Okay, so being gay,
Shit, I can't say that online, man.
you can't.
You can't say that in society.
Yeah, you can't. I'll have to blur your mouth out as well.
Yeah.
So, okay, there's no gay gene, right? So that I think would prove that.
How do you know there's no gay gene? You don't know that.
Well, is there a gay gene? Has it been discovered yet?
We don't know.
We don't know.
I don't think genes work like that.
So there's nothing that can predict the fact
Good
that someone
point.
might be gay. But that's what people say, that people are born gay. I was born gay.
Have you heard of epigenetics?
Yes.
So that's the environmental impact on how your DNA is replicated.
Right.
It's like,
yes.
Like, is it not methane? I can't quite remember. I learned about it a long time ago.
Okay.
But it could be something to do with that.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of like environment.
yeah, a
and
bit
nature
of a
kind
combination,
of mixing
nurture
together.
and nature.
Yeah, sure. So what do you think it might be then? Do you think, well, the way I think about it, maybe it could be some kind of like feminine temperament and like some kind of things feed into that. It seems to be something along those lines, and then they kind of develop this attraction to.
I don't know though, because you get a lot of like stereotypically masculine gay guys.
Yeah.
So that's not a feminine temperament.
But
But
I
they're
would say
still,
it's feminine to be attracted to a man.
Okay, in that sense of the definition.
Yes.
Yes, but in
Yes.
terms of like other definite other attributes of like femininity,
Right.
I don't think so. Like
Yeah.
all other ones, like in terms of like macho-ness or
Yeah.
Or
Of
like-
course. Of course.
or ways of presenting yourself or
And it tends to
behaviors.
be a characteristic of gay people as well, that they're also like camp, that they behave in a feminine way and behave in
Yeah,
a certain way.
For the most part, yeah.
Yes. What's
So I
that
guess-
about? Is that like a feminine thing, or is it like a
Yeah, well, they also say like with gay couples, you've got like
the masculine and the
sh-
feminine
yeah,
side,
yeah,
the femme and the butch
yeah.
in some circles?
Yeah, because it's like opposites attract, right? So,
yeah, of course, yeah. I mean,
and that's like why like the male-female dynamic, like
works so well together.
because there has
right?
like traditionally been like values and behaviors assigned to each gender, and now it's becoming a lot more blurred.
Yes.
Like in terms of what way you should behave, which is
Yes.
why I suppose there's like more societal confusion.
Yes.
Like how you should present yourself and how you should be and what you
Yes.
should aspire to be.
Yes.
But
do you think that influences like how many people turn out to be gay? Like the whole kind of this movement of like, you know, these pride events and things like that, and like people saying, oh yeah, be gay, be gay, be gay, and there's all these like bits of LGBT ideology being taught in schools and things like that. Do you think that influences it?
well, yeah, of course it does.
Yeah. Do you think it results in more gay people? Do you think?
Yeah,
Right.
it must do, mustn't it?
So what is that like? Is that good or is that bad, or is like what is that? Because if people are being like psychologically kind of affected, so far as to them, you know,
I don't know if it's good or bad.
yeah,
I don't know.
I would say that there's some effect there that we can't ignore. Like there's some kind of nurture effect there that we can't just be like, okay, you know, being born gay. I don't believe that's a thing, right?
Yeah.
And so I think there's some kind of thing going on. There's some kind of psychological thing going on, and I would say that's what that is. Right? I would say that if you feel gay, that isn't the sin itself, because you might have feelings of doing bad things, right? To like the proclivity to sin, right? The readiness to sin factor. We all have that, right? We want to do bad things. Generally speaking, we might want to like get revenge on someone and like, you know, be violent towards them. We might want to, you know, commit adultery, cheat on our wife or something like that. Or in extreme cases, maybe you want to like, you know, I'm so angry I want to kill this guy. I'm so in some other kind of emotion, I want to, you know, force myself upon a woman or something like that, or even a kid, like God forbid, right? It's horrendous to think about, but perhaps for some people these urges arise, what the biblical teaching would be is just to kind of realize that that's a bad thing and not act upon it. That's what the biblical teaching would be, right?
I don't understand what you're trying to say.
As in, like, I would say that the thought of wanting to have sexual intercourse with the same sex comes into that category as a sin.
Okay, but from this is where, like, I would say the weakness of your ability to freely and, like, logically, critically evaluate morality, right?
But I do.
But think about this, yeah. Why I can wait, okay, repeat them.
I want to repeat the fact that it's not as if I just blindly comply with it. I think about it and think, okay, why is it the case that this is the rule that God has said is the case, right? And I look at it and think, okay, here's a reason here, here's the reason here, from the Bible. If I don't understand the Bible, there's someone who, like, kind of, like, knows it better, and I look at that guy and think, okay, here's what it says in, you know, in Matthew chapter 3 or in Revelation chapter 5, whatever quote he might bring up. And
why does it say, like, paedophilia is wrong?
Why does it say that?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Is there a verse that says that?
I am not aware of one, but it would. I think it would come under the kind of biblical laws of, you know.
So it doesn't need to be said. People just know it.
Well, yeah, like I would say, like, for example, pornography didn't exist in the Bible times, but we see that as a sin because it's like it's you know, you're looking upon the naked body of another woman who you're not with. It's that kind of thing. We kind of infer that, okay, that probably is not what the
But
Bible...
why is being gay? What's wrong with that?
Because God created us, man and woman, to be together as one. There's a whole
that's
thing
just saying.
around
That's
it.
just saying, like, because God did it.
Yes.
But, like, what? Like, why did He do that? You don't understand. Do you not understand why He did that? Or
What, man and women?
yeah, like, you're just accepting just because God did it.
Why did
then
God make us man and women?
Yeah, like, there's no, like, philosophical, like, story or reasoning behind why just man and woman, not man or woman or woman. Like, there's no teaching that explains, like, why that was His thought process. I'm asking you, as far as you're aware.
Well, why God created man and women?
Yeah.
Well, there's no reasoning behind it. He created it in that way.
So, but
and it's compatible in like that exact thing. Like, we have full organ systems in terms of our digestive system, our kind of nervous system, but we have half of a reproductive system. And it happens that women, like, so us as men, we have half of that reproductive system, and women have the other half, and so that we can bring them together.
Yeah. If you want to have children, but, like, I don't think the value of a person should be related to the fact or whether they do or don't want to have children. Like, I think a person still has value regardless of their desire to reproduce. But you're suggesting.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So, like, then that's not really a good like an argument as to why two men or two women.
Just looking at the objective biological facts, it seems that way, that it's designed by God.
If you want to reproduce, but me and you can have a friendship,
right,
without wanting to reproduce and still, like, have a healthy interaction, a healthy friendship.
Right.
So I can't, like, two women have a friendship, or two men like
have a friendship.
No, but why can't they, like, just fucking
have sex with
each other and not, like, why is that wrong? Like,
wrong?
The assignment of, what am I trying to say? Like, the value of a thing is should not be determined based off, like, the ability to reproduce, you know.
Yes.
The value of a relationship, friendship, romantic, whatever.
Yeah.
But that seems to be all you can, like, say why two men shouldn't.
Well, it's the compatibility factor.
Be gay.
It's the fact that a man and a woman can reproduce, and that's how God made it. A man and a man. Like, what's the point of that? Is that just sexual gratification? What is the purpose of that? It seems a bit like
just have a relationship without children, be happy, live a good life.
But like what is that? Like, what is that for? Like, what is that sex for?
Oh well, yeah, pleasure, bro. You're gonna have sex with your wife in the future without having children at some point.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
So that's just for pleasure. Like, that's hedonistic.
But
and that's okay.
because we're married and I'm committing myself to one person, that's okay.
Why is it not okay if you're not married?
Because that's premarital sex. That's the whole
There's
kind
like,
of
so
idea.
you can't say why. You just say like because it's this, but you're not explaining like
Okay,
why.
oh, like the societal reason.
Like
why.
the reasoning behind like what is the. You're just saying because it's premarital sex, like that's a label.
Oh.
That's not like.
That's a good point.
That's not an explanation.
That's a good point.
What are
Like,
the implications?
there are laws in the Bible that God doesn't explain why, but we can make an inference as to why that might be. For example, premarital sex, that is because, as we talked about earlier, so that we don't go around sleeping with multiple partners, and the fact that they might be kids with single parents and things like that, and that results in destabilization of society, and it's not good, right? And so God just says, just don't do that, and we have to kind of imply why, but it's good enough that we just don't do that, right?
Mm.
And so I'm also implying why God said in certain verses a man may not lie with another man, right, in that kind of way.
So it seems like basically you don't approve of this relationship, this marital or non-marital
Yes.
relationship between two men, purely because God said it. You can't, like, from what it seems to me, explain why, other than the fact that because they can't reproduce, and because God said
incompatible.
not to do it, and
Like
because
how-
it's incompatible. But
how
I just
exactly-
disagree with that.
How, like, think about,
I think,
like,
and also I think gay people disagree with that. Like, you're not gay. Like, what is your opinion? Why should that matter, as opposed to their self-determination to live their lives how they want to live them? You're
well, if
not
they're
a gay
not
man.
Christian. What? So I can't have an opinion if I'm not gay?
No, but who are you to? You're saying they're not compatible. Like, do you mean that, like,
Physically, anatomically.
physically? But let's say they don't
Like, how would
they
they
don't
have
want to
sex?
have
Like,
children.
think about it, like,
But let's say
how would it plug
let's
in?
take children out of the equation,
Right.
because like they still have like value as a human beyond
Yeah,
their
of course.
capability to
Of
reproduce.
course.
Yeah, so they can be like have a compatible relationship
They don't
and
have
enjoy
to
their
have
lives.
sex, though,
No, but they want to though,
right?
and like, why can't you accept let them?
Because it's not, like, that's not the way that God made us. That's what I would say. Like how would it come to be? How would they have sex, right? It's like, it's sodomy, and that's like it's not. How would I say this? It's not healthy. Like, after a certain amount of time, there's like incontinence issues, right? As in, like,
Yeah, but
they won't be able to hold in their shit, right?
Yeah, but bro, that's just fucking.
It's just like this, like, that isn't meant to be. Like, what? Like,
it's like, come on.
it's unhygienic.
Just
There's more casual sex within those kind of communities, because, like, why would you commit to someone if there's
sure.
no
I mean,
consequence to it?
sure, but like if they love each other and they want to, any action is gonna have certain levels of, like, if I eat food, my teeth are gonna wear down and it's gonna damage my gums, but it's like still beneficial for me to eat food so I can have energy and like and live on as a human being.
But if there's a better way-
Anything that is a good thing is going to have certain elements of it that, like, nothing is entirely good or entirely bad. There's all elements of everything that's going to have like drawbacks, right? It's give and take. That's just life. So like, just because if people want to have anal sex and they like it, and eventually like it's going to stretch their bum holes, so be it. That's fine. Like, you don't have to like oppress these people and say, because of these little things in your actions,
Yes.
I get a negative, it's not compatible. And it's like, it's such a harmful thing to spread in the world, in my opinion,
Yes.
that
Okay,
I
but,
think
like,
it's like a very bad immoral side to like Christianity and like religions, you know.
But I'm not saying they're less valuable. They are human beings, and we're all equally valuable.
Yeah, but you're saying they're
infinitely
like that. You
valuable.
are though. You're saying
No,
you're
I'm
not.
saying the action that they're doing is wrong. It's
Yeah,
like,
but
it's like me saying that,
who
okay,
are we as people? We are our actions. We are what we do, and that's what they want to do. So, and you're saying if you like, you can't do that. So you are saying that they are less valuable. Like, you're saying their actions are less valuable. You know,
I'm not saying you
indirectly, I feel
can't
like
do
you're
that.
saying it.
I'm saying that they mustn't do that. I'm saying that it's wrong to do that.
But they will do that, and they want to do that.
Okay.
So, and that action is
why-
part of who they are.
why would my opinion affect them like that? It's like a Muslim coming to me and saying, "Why are you eating bacon? That's bad. You're doing something
I
that's
just think
bad."
it causes divide and
But
friction.
why wouldn't that Muslim saying I can't eat bacon? Why wouldn't that cause divide?
I think it does.
I would just get on with my life.
I think it does though. Look all the religious tension in the UK though.
Yeah, but why?
Like,
but it's not.
Like cultural conflicts and disagreements causes
But specifically the gay thing, or specifically the bacon pork thing, that doesn't cause the divide, right?
I think things like that do though. That's like why there's such immigration tension in the UK, is because of lack of cultural assimilation, different cultures mingling, and then it's people aren't able to understand that or accept it.
I don't think multicultural societies can exist peacefully. But we'll leave that aside. I think that certain problems that come up with tensions between religious people and, homosexual people, is when Christians aren't holding true to their Christian values of not being violently hateful or verbally hateful. If I've seen so many people, Christians, debate about this, and they're kind and they're gentle about it, and they just go through their reasoning and say, this is why I think it's bad. Of course, I think you're a valuable human being as a gay person. I'm not pointing to you, but the gay person that they might be debating with.
I can be gay.
Right? You can be gay. So they're very polite, and they're very, they're gentle about it. They're making sure that they're not being perceived as hateful. Definitely, for sure. And I think that is true Christianity. Whereas I think the people that really go out their way to show their anger and their hate towards people like that, that's not really what Christianity espouses or what it teaches. I think there can be peace, even though I think
it facilitates that though. Even if it's not, you don't perceive it to be the teachings on the intention. Example, I think it facilitates it.
With me, even though I believe that action to be wrong, do you see me making a gay man's life more difficult?
I just think attitudes have more power than you give them credit.
Right.
So even if everyone was like you, peacefully unaccepting of two gay men wishing to express themselves sexually,
right,
then the groups of society, Christian or not Christian, who have a tendency to be aggressive and violent towards views they disagree with,
right,
they will target the gay people,
right,
because they're a group of people who behave differently and not how they should. So they're now the people who should be the outcasts, right?
Right.
So that even if you're actually you yourself wouldn't, I think the attitude can have knock-on effects negatively towards gay communities and gay people,
Yeah, I see what you mean. I think it does have some kind of negative effect on society if we have this kind of behavior that's more geared towards casual sex, less hygienic, I would say. More disease is being spread in that kind of way. I think there are.
But you get gay people, straight people have casual sex. It's not really anything to do with gay or straight.
Yeah. I would say that there's more in the gay community because it's less consequential, because it's less. Well, there's no risk of pregnancy actually. Right.
Okay, but just because that's increased, because there's no risk of pregnancy,
yes,
does not mean that.
It's not the be all and end all
it's
argument.
The same as casual sex.
I'm saying for society. For example, when a gay couple adopts a kid, that kid's on every metric of success, it's decreased dramatically, because that's not the natural way to raise a kid. Versus when it's adopted by a man and a woman, it's a lot better. It's very dramatic how
success on what metric?
Success in career, how much they earn, happiness, things like this, measuring it in different kinds of ways. On every metric, it's just decreased. And so I just can't see it working out in a way.
Do you think that's a result of the parents being gay, or a result of the way society views gay people?
I think it's a result of the fact that there's a lack of, so if there's two men, there's a lack of the feminine element of like motherhood in that kind of way. If there's two women, there's a lack of that fatherhood in the picture. It's not because they're gay, it's because there isn't a man or because there isn't a woman.
But do you not think like attitudes towards gay people could like somehow influence that child? Because now a lot of that child's focus has got to be like almost his identity is forced to be very much LGBTQ. I must stand up for the rights of my parents because they're oppressed. Because of these unaccepting attitudes, this child can't focus on his career ambitions because he is put into a corner to dedicate his time to fighting for his injustice perceived with his parents. What if that's what's occurring, right? You're just assigning it to the fact that there's no mother, this, that, but there could be so many factors as to why this child has less measured on metrics of success like career and happiness and whatnot. Beyond like the fact that he doesn't have a motherhood, maternal characteristics in one parent and paternal characteristics in one parent.
I think to prove the point that I'm making, we can look at, for example, people who are raised in like single parent households with just one mother or with just one father. The fact that they have they don't have that father figure, they don't have that mother figure in their lives affects them in a very similar way. Again, success metrics on every metric of success is decreased for those people who have single parents. So looking at those two things, we can draw a parallel there and say it's not because of the gayness, it's because of the lack of the masculine or the feminine parental figure, the mother, the father, that is the result of that lack of success. That's what I would say.
So you're saying with divorced parents, they equally have,
as in if
like a reduced chance of being successful.
As in
what?
A kid who is raised by one parent the whole life.
Yeah.
Because divorce, like when are they divorced, things like that, it gets muddy how to measure that.
Yeah.
So like for their whole life, they're raised by a single parent. That when that's measured, less success.
Yeah, but that makes so much sense though.
Yeah.
Because they have less parental guidance.
Yes.
So how has that got anything to do with?
As in, a lot of it is, like, if they have...
It's like the parent has less time to dedicate. It's not because there's not, like, the opposite, like, taught values of different parental styles. It's just the fact that the single parent is, like, more burdened and can dedicate less time to being a parent.
Resources-wise.
Yeah.
Yes.
If they're a single parent.
There is that aspect. But let's say there's other things involved, like school and things like that, and like carers who can provide resources, or like some kind of, some kind of organization that provides that kind of money, or alimony in the case of divorce, things like that. Even measuring for that, it's still worse off. I think the comparison there is just the fact that I think you can see that. Like,
but even with like, okay, but that person has been through a relationship that's not ended well. They're more likely to be more stressed out, more burdened. They have it's more difficult for them to be a parent. Even if they have resources financially or whatever.
I'm not blaming the parent.
Okay, but that doesn't provide an example as to like that's not the same as it's like single sex parenthood. There's like so many other reasons as to why that child is like limited.
Okay. Yeah.
That are beyond like just the fact that they're not having influence from both sort of like types of parental figures. And also, if you could say, like, two gay parents have had less, like gay parents in general have had less time through society to learn how to be gay parents. That's why they're not as good as it. But like straight parents have been throughout human history.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's like they have learned how to do it. The blueprint's there, like generally, although that's even changing now. But like typically, like gender roles as parental even if they're like more sort of diluted now in terms of like gender roles of parental figures, it still exists, which is why it's like a bit more of a clear idea for straight parents to follow how to be a parent, right? Whereas like, I guess gay parents don't have the role models to like look up, look for how to do it, so they have to learn it themselves. Although all parenthood is an element of learning it yourself, I would imagine. So that's could also be a reason as to why it's more difficult, beyond just the fact that they don't have the different qualities of different genders, right?
Okay. Yeah.
There's less like experience to follow and less guidance.
Okay, yeah. I would just say, as like a last point here, my opinion would be that the gender roles have a very significant role in parenting, and that's why I would say that that might not work. But
they're just ways to behave, aren't they? Gender roles. Like even to get like a gay couple could adopt gender roles. Like one parent could behave more one way, one parent could behave more another way.
But a woman
even if
can't
they're the same.
be a man, and a man can't be a woman.
But they can behave like one.
Yeah.
Like you can get a masculine mother and a feminine father.
But that's not the same.
It's not the same because society perceives it differently. But like
But I think if you asked a kid, he would know.
Know what?
He would know that's a woman trying to act like a man, and that's a man trying to act like a woman.
Yeah, but so what?
Yeah, so it's a difference, right?
Yeah.
It's significant enough to be different to the kid.
Yeah.
And that's what matters.
Yeah, but just because it's different doesn't mean it's like worse. Just because he's aware of it, like that's not.
Well, it's a difference to his experience, and that's what's significant in his raising, and that's what results in his success outcomes.
Well, as far as we know, but the thing is, it's like gay parents haven't had enough time to learn how to do it. Is all I would say.
Okay, right.
So like the whole argument of like that's like another drawback. Again, it's just like attributing a person's value to how good they can be as a parent. If their kids are slightly less successful, so be it. Like let them, man, let them. Parenthood's hard, and like especially for like,
Yeah, that's exactly my point. Like parenting's hard, and so wouldn't you want to put everything you can into that and not allow for them to be raised in a
but it's like, what about like okay, and this might again be contentious, but like what about like two obese people? Are you gonna say, oh no, they can't be? Like their value as they're not. We don't let fat people get married, because if they get married, they're gonna have a fat kid, and then that kid's not gonna be successful because he hasn't learned the value of discipline and exercise because his parent. Like it's like saying because two people's like values aren't ideal and perfect in the way I see ideal and perfect, I can't accept their relationship.
Well, it's not me personally, it's God.
Yeah, but you're prescribing, you're condoning and endorsing that behavior, right? And it is the same thing.
It's from God.
Yeah, but you're choosing to give those words power by like preaching that, by speaking it into existence.
Right.
So like you have to take some accountability beyond just saying it's God. Like you have to take some accountability into.
About what? What do you mean?
Like the beliefs that you put out into the world, aka two men can't marry. Like you have to take some responsibility in the form of like I believe in this and I'm spouting this idea and sharing it, right? So you can't just like I don't want to say blame God, but like attribute that to God, because you can still choose how to live your life. So you're still carrying on those like homophobic, I would say, beliefs, right? But it's the same as just like you're just like assigning someone's value to how good they can be as a parent, whereas like it's not fair, because there's so many metrics on like how you can measure a person's contribution to the world, and even if they can't contribute positively, I think their own happiness still matters beyond just like whether they can be a good parent or whether they can contribute to the community to or this or that. Just even if the kid's generally slightly less successful on these metrics, I still think that's okay. No, but I'm saying like why do you accept two obese people marrying?
Why do I?
Yeah. Because they're gonna. Would you not agree it's likely that they would have an obese child?
Sure.
So therefore, that child's like like, as opposed to people who aren't obese,
Yeah.
that child's going to be less successful on the metric of health. So then by that same logic,
I would still say the parents
you
shouldn't
could
be
draw
obese.
so many like metrics.
Right. But I would still say the parents shouldn't be obese. Just like I would say the couple shouldn't be having gay sex. But I would still say the man and the woman makes sense to reproduce and have a child rather than a gay couple, because I just think that's just, yeah. Okay.
But you would accept that. You would accept them though. You accept the fact that they want to get married. Is my point. You're sure you would encourage them to be healthy.
Let me make a different point, right? Wouldn't you say that there are motherly qualities that a woman shows and only a woman can show?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say there are fatherly qualities that a man can show and only a man can show?
Sorry, no, not only. No, I disagree. Like a man can learn how to be like
a woman.
Nurturing and caring and like and empathetic and supportive.
Be a woman though.
Yeah.
Right.
But he can be empathetic, nurturing, and like the qualities that a mother like gives to her child.
Right.
Man can like try to learn that as best as he can.
But here's the thing though, this is another thing that kind of is in the Bible, like, a woman is a woman and a man is a man. Like, there are certain, when you're in the presence of a woman, you know that you're in the presence of a woman, not just by what she looks like, but by the way that she behaves, the way that she has certain temperaments. Maybe she's more emotional, maybe she's more she speaks in a softer tone, she's like more caring, more nurturing, and I certainly feel that.
Well, that's because like what society has taught women to behave like.
Do you think it's taught? Femininity?
Yeah.
It's not natural to what a woman is, not through hormones or any biology or anything like that.
I think everything's both.
Everything's both.
Yeah, I think everything is a mix of nature and nurture. So right. I think like women are definitely like taught to behave that way subliminally through like society,
okay, yeah, of course
and movies and like just exposure to things.
That, yes, but don't you think it's somewhat part of her nature? Like, yeah. Could we just swap then?
But that's what makes could it be that humans have the ability to change, bro.
Could it be that the woman could just now take up the role of what men traditionally do and, like, for example, go and do all the hard labour jobs and work in the sewers and on the lines and on laying bricks and construction?
Well, I think
and men can do the things that are like, raising children and,
I think with specific jobs, obviously no, because like but like some women could, like some stronger woman, yes, but like physical jobs, are like obviously you want the physically stronger person to do, like whoever has like
right. So,
sure, but like I feel like we have the capacity to feel emotions, right? So we have the capacity to raise, like I could raise a child, I could be like nurturing and caring for that child,
right?
So you can adapt, you can learn, you can change who you are. Like, it might be a bit more difficult for women to learn how to work as a bricklayer or in like a physically demanding job, but eventually they'd learn.
Right.
Like, it's like saying what, like a skinny guy can't be a bricklayer because he can't lift the weight, you can't move the wheelbarrows around. But eventually he's just going to toughen up and crack on with it.
Right, because he has testosterone, he can build muscle quicker.
Women have testosterone.
Not as much.
But some women will have more than him because he's a skinny little bitch.
Yes, but very unlikely.
Okay, so why can't those women do?
They can.
Well, exactly. And what about like the men who are more leaning on like the empathetic nurturing spectrum of men?
Yeah.
More than some women. Then they can be like mothers.
They can be like mothers.
Yeah.
But they can't be mothers.
Sure. Doesn't really matter though, does it? What label you give it.
Does it not?
I don't think so, really. No. It's like as long as they're like being a good parent, then.
Well, yeah, obviously that matters. Of
like
course.
I suppose it matters to society. Like society likes to like identify things and understand it. Yes. And if they can't, they get confused and like I guess, angry. So
Yeah.
it matters in that sense, because if you don't like identify things, it can lead to confusion.
Right.
But in terms of like as an isolated thing, no, it doesn't matter. If someone can do a job as effectively, despite like what should be done according to gender roles and parenthood, then yeah, no, I don't think it matters. No.
So you see no difference in a man and a woman raising a kid versus a man and a man raising a kid?
No, that's not true. There's a difference.
What's the difference then?
It's just too broad of a question to ask, mate. Because like, I think it's a contextual thing. I mean, like generally speaking, well, I don't. I suppose. What you're saying to be true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, as in, the two men might lack the nurturing capacity, but that's just as a result of not knowing yet how to do it. So it's like saying, if you give a kid a football and he's shit at kicking the football,
Right.
you're shit. Don't play football.
Right.
But like, you can't judge a person on what they are right now, or even in a lifetime, but you should judge people on what they have the capacity to become.
Yeah.
So like, that kid could become a professional footballer.
Like they can,
And like-
they can
and like-
absolutely try.
And
but
like,
I
a
don't
gay
think they
man
can-
could become a phenomenal mother, or gay parents in general,
I'm sure
through
that
through learning and like, you know.
I'm sure that it's possible for them to do
But
a
again,
really good job,
It's not that, but
but they can never be the mother.
sure. It doesn't really matter though what you call it. Like, to me, I would say, because I'm not just, like, so hung up on like the definition, but I think obviously it's less, like, it's not that relevant either, because it's obviously gay parents are less likely to be parents anyway through like biology. They're not actually going
Yeah.
to be so it's only like ones who adopt, which I think is quite rare anyway, because we're getting quite hung up on this whole parenthood thing in the justification on why like the Bible doesn't condone gay relationships.
Yeah.
And I don't think like
And
some people like don't have to have children. They can still live like meaningful and good lives.
Yes.
You know. So
And can I just say as well, this is just my inference of what it might be.
yeah,
I
fair
don't
enough.
know ultimately why God says that. I'm just like, listening to other people and kind of basically telling you what they said.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
ultimately know. I could be wrong about it. It's not up to me to say this is definitely why. And so my
Yeah.
arguments might be flawed in that way, and that's why they would be flawed.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Fair enough.
Love that
Right.
discussion. Good. Another question.
How long are we gonna go for?
Up to you.
What's the time?
I don't know. You got to watch?
Yeah, it's not. I haven't set it correct. I think. Fuck it. We've been going for a long time.
How long?
2 hours.
2 hours and what?
Just 2 hours.
Just 2 hours.
What's left? Because we were hung up on that gate.
Yeah, we
Gay
were
thing for
for a
ages.
long time.
Do you want to do you want to do one more question and then call it a day?
Cool. Let's do that.
Are these all Christian? I guess these are all Christian related.
No, they're not.
This whole podcast has been Christianity,
It has been, yes.
to be fair. But I guess it's kind of like probably what we would discuss anyway.
Yes.
Because I'm an atheist or an agnostic or whatever the fuck.
Yeah,
You're
I mean,
a
that's
Christian.
a question in itself, isn't it? What are you, mate?
I don't know. I'm a human being. I don't believe in anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair. Okay. I mean, what question do you want to answer? I'll give you some options here.
God's
Since
sake.
we're running out of time.
No, you just pick one.
Yeah, you don't want to pick?
No, that's boring, isn't it?
Well, okay, I'll give you some words and you pick a word.
Okay.
Alright.
Okay.
You want to talk about karma, or like being presented in front of God at the end of your life, origin of morality, the trolley problem, or a general question. Is there anything we have not talked about that you think is important for people to know? Which one of those?
Well, that last one is like probably a finisher, isn't it?
Yeah.
What are the other ones? What's the
Karma.
remind me? What's the trolley problem again?
Well, we can go through that. It's like the train, the lever.
Oh, I know the one.
Yes.
Yeah, so many podcasts discuss that.
Yeah, they do.
That's been beaten to death. Do you
Yeah.
want to do it again?
Too much? Okay. Cool.
No, we can't. Yeah, okay, let's not do it then.
Cool. The God one.
We've done a lot of God.
Yeah.
What's the other one?
Like what?
Karma.
Yeah, we've done a lot of
I don't
God.
believe
but like,
in
what
karma.
would you say to God?
I don't
Or
believe
what
in
would
God.
you-
I don't believe in karma.
Yeah. Okay, but like, what would you? Okay. Cool.
What's the question, man? Just ask me a question.
Okay. Cool.
I'll
See if
answer,
there's
I don't
any
mind.
other
I'll
ones.
answer any of them. We can discuss whatever you would like. Dealer's choice.
I mean, would it be too long to ask you about like your story of like how you grew up and like not like that,
Do
but
that
like,
now. Well, that's just-
as in like you told me one time you believed in God as a kid.
right.
How did you become an atheist?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
No, it's like saying, how did you like come to the conclusion Father Christmas isn't real?
Right.
Just one day I just thought. I think I asked my mum.
Right.
Said,
Is God real?
no, I think my friend told me in school.
That God isn't real?
No, it's Father Christmas.
Oh, right. Okay.
My friend told me that he saw his mum putting like
right.
presents in the stocking under the tree.
Fair.
And he was like, it's not real, it's not real. I was like, what, fuck off.
Yeah.
And then when I asked my mum, she just told me, yeah, it's not real. It's us. I was like, what? No way.
Well, how did you feel about that? How do you feel about the fact that you're
Maybe that's when I became an atheist.
okay?
It's like, that seems pivotal to me because it was like the first exposure in my life where I realized like, we believe things that aren't true.
Yes.
And like we can doubt things that we are told are categorically true.
Yes.
So it sort of opened the floodgates for like, hang on a minute. So this like magical Father Christmas guy who's like cool as fuck
Yeah.
is not real. It's all a lie. And then that was probably then around a similar time
Right.
where I must have been like 8 or something. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't remember it. It wasn't like pivotal to me because like we were never a very religious family. We just went to church like around Christmas time or something.
Right.
Even though both of my parents were like agnostic, let's say.
Okay. Interesting.
But like we
From
were
the
all,
beginning.
yeah. But we were all christened and all went to because of like society or culture.
Yeah. Culture. Yeah.
It's just sort of like what
It's a Christian
you,
country.
what you
Isn't it?
did.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, used to
What-
be.
How did you feel about the fact that your parents like lied to you in a way about Father Christmas?
Don't quite remember.
How do you feel about it now? How do you feel about the fact that parents do this,
I think it's a nice thing that they do it.
that they lie?
Yeah. Well, because it's nice for kids to
Believe in
experience just a
something? But do you think that
story.
might negatively affect them in some way? I mean, a story is different because it's like you, at the end of the story, we know, or the parent might say, "This isn't real, by the way. You know, fairies don't actually exist."
But all parents know they're eventually going to tell the kids. By the way,
Yeah, but like
It's
it's a bit
not
of a
real.
deception for that period of time, isn't it?
it's a good.
fact that-
It's
the fact
interesting.
that-
I've never thought about that.
Yeah, I
Like,
think about it a lot.
They don't really lie about anything else.
Yes.
Everything else is truthful except
Yeah.
Father Christmas,
And the tooth fairy, things like
and the
that.
Tooth Fairy. I wonder why. It's just
Because
fun. It
I-
just gives colour to the existence, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to tell my kids that there's Father Christmas and things like that.
Your kids are going to be such fuckers because you're going to homeschool them good because they would be the ones to tell all the other kids, oh, it's not real. They're
Yeah.
going to ruin it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't believe in lying
It's
to
just-
my kids. I don't. It sets up a bad precedent.
Yeah, but dude, your
No.
vicar lies to you, man.
What?
Your vicar lies to you.
What do you mean?
You like as
About
in
God?
about God, and it keeps you
Right.
happy. Why can't you
but
let your
like,
kids be happy?
I voluntarily go to church because I believe that to be true, and he's not lying, believing that it's a lie. he believes it's true too. The parents know that it's a lie, and they still lie.
It's like Chinese. How I view it is like it's like Chinese whispers of lies.
Religion.
Yeah, because like if you, what's that? You know that monk that the monkey experiment, where it's like they put a load of monkeys in a room and a ladder and a banana. Oh no, one monkey and a banana at the top. Monkey in a room with a ladder and a banana at the top, and he climbs up to go get the banana.
Yeah.
And they squirt him with a fire hose.
Yeah.
And he goes down. So they put another monkey in.
Yeah.
And that monkey it goes up to get the banana.
Yeah.
And then that first monkey pulls him down and beats him up. No, because obviously.
Because they're all squirted.
Yeah, they're all squirted. Sorry.
Yes.
They all get punished.
Yes.
Then eventually, so and so, they take the first monkey out or something, and they stop doing the hose thing.
Yeah.
But then, all the monkeys that go when they put a new monkey in, and it goes up to get the banana, all the monkeys beat him up, and they don't know why they're doing it.
Yeah.
Right, because they've just been taught.
Yes, it's been passed down.
Yeah. So like it could be that. With,
Yes.
I don't know why I got back to that. What was the question?
You said that
Oh,
religion is a game of Chinese whispers.
Yeah. So right, Joe, sorry, because you were saying that Vicar believes it's true.
Yes.
Right, but he's just learnt that. Like you've learnt that, but like the origin of the lie is so dated that there's no one left who actually knows the truth. Like let's say Father Christmas, let's say no one ever told us he was actually a lie.
Right.
Like every parent grew up and died. Right.
But
then I suppose presents would stop coming, but people would still believe though. They would be like, "Oh, he just stopped because we stopped being good. We stopped being on the, okay, maybe it motivates kids to be like good people in a similar sense to religion. It gives them like some ultimate authority on why to be a good kid. It kind of does do that for children, doesn't it, to an extent?
Yeah, I guess so. But I think it's still the difference between that and between us and the monkeys, let's say, is the fact that we have this ability of critical thought and think, why do we do these things that we call traditions that have been passed down? And we can be like, you know what? I don't think there's a reason here. I'm going to stop doing that, right? Or we can think, here's why.
But what if you can't think that because society doesn't let you, aka the monkeys beat you up? Like you're punished for thinking, like a thought separate from what your your specific community validates. Yeah.
Right. I'm sure there are some things like that, but generally speaking, I think there's that ability, generally speaking, of human beings to think critically about things.
Yeah.
Right. That's another thing about what I kind of came into this with was the fact that I don't or haven't felt God's presence, as in a tangible way, right? I hear in the Bible, or I read the Bible, and there's stories of the Holy Spirit descending upon a certain person, and they get certain abilities to prophesy certain things and tell the future, or they just get some kind of strength. And I'm like, okay, that's a Bible time thing. But then I hear people in my own church that I go to tell me that they felt the Holy Spirit, and I hear people online telling me, people who are Christians, they say, I feel the Holy Spirit, and they tell me tangibly how it feels, it's like this warm honey dripping down my neck and into my body, and it feels so nice, and it feels like a warm blanket. People tell me these things, and that's what I've struggled with, because I've never felt anything like that. Some of my friends even tell me that they've had conversations, they've talked to God, as in not just praying, but God told them something. And that's something I struggle with a lot. I'm like, why have I not felt that? Am I not doing this correctly? I know I've just become Christian 2 months ago, but I'm wondering what are the requirements. There's a lot of perhaps uncertainty in that. I think that needs to be said in general, right? It's not as if I just unequivocally just have all my questions answered. There's some element of there's a a thing there. There's like a little bit of a bit of faith, a bit about, okay, I'm just going to believe in this, trust the process, trust that whatever the reason might be that I'm not feeling this is a good reason, and I believe in that. And it fills me with some kind of like, I maybe not like 100% satisfaction, but like an explanation of like, okay, there's some reason, right? Ultimately, God knows these things. I am just a human being. It's possible that I don't understand it. Well, it's not possible. It's kind of a given that I don't understand things on the same level that he does. And so I think that's something to understand about Christians, right, versus Christianity, is that no Christian is going to be the perfect embodiment of Christianity, apart from when God came down as Jesus Christ and lived as a human being.
So that happened?
Yes.
I thought Jesus was his son.
It's complicated. The whole Trinity thing, I can explain it to you, but it'll take a bit of time, and it's, to be honest with you, I still don't quite understand it perfectly. Again, another
God
example.
spoke to Jesus, didn't he?
Yes.
He spoke to Jesus, but Jesus was him.
Yes. It's complicated. But again, my human brain struggles to understand how the Trinity works. God the Father, God the Son, and the Holy Spirit
Oh, yeah, I've heard that.
are one and the same thing.
Yeah.
They call it three persons, one being. Right?
Mm.
Again, my...
Like Gollum. It's two people.
Perhaps. So, in that way, I might not be able to explain things in the best way or understand things in the best way. It's like me trying to understand a fifth dimensional shape. I live in a three-dimensional world. I cannot fathom that because I'm a three-dimensional being. And so in that way, God is infinitely not unknowable, but like I can't fully comprehend his nature in that way.
Infinitely impermeable to rational criticism because we don't understand it.
Well, that's logically what God would be. Like a God that created everything. How could we be on the same level of understanding as him? That's just logically, that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So that's just how it kind of comes to be. I'm hoping that when I go to heaven, I have a new understanding and a new kind of, just a new understanding of this, and questions will be answered. But maybe even then I won't understand everything. I don't know. And I think that's a very big statement a lot of Christians don't say. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. God does. I'm just someone who follows God. And I'm someone who is a lesser being than him, so I can't answer all your questions. I don't know, but I have faith in this. In the same way that scientists might say, I don't have all the answers, but I have faith in this.
It's not the same.
Okay. I think it's similar. Cool. Should we call it there?
Yeah.
Cool.
There you go. Alright, fuck off. End this.
Fantastic. You were just switched up at the end.
You're just rambling, bro. You're just going off on one spiel.
Yeah, I know, but I thought, okay, I'd asked you a lot of questions. I thought, okay, let me just round this out on something that I can say and just like...
Yeah.
Well, was that boring? What I listened at the end?
Good. Maybe to some people it was interesting.
Yeah.
It wasn't boring, it's just what you think.
Yeah.
It's your perspective. Shared it.